Arizona Cardinals can go into the 2024 offseason with some optimism for the year. I think that they played phenomenal in 2023, all things considered, with Kyler Murray on IR, not being able to play the first half of the season. And just seeing how the team played overall, it was honestly just always fun just to see them play. Just a team that's just going to give it 100% every single game. And they were not an easy win at all. I remember during our preseason predictions, we were like, I legitimately don't see them winning a game at all. And then they go in and upset Dallas Cowboys. Should have beat the Giants before that and fought hard even against the Commanders in week one. So from then, that just set the tone for the whole season and my expectations for the Cardinals. We're going to break down their 2023 season and also provide a little bit of a preview to what their 2024 offseason looks like. But before we do that, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Help us get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason. And Ryan, let's pull up our slide here. And so the stat that kind of sticks out to me is how great they were running the ball. They drafted Paris Johnson Jr. with their first overall pick, really trying to revamp that offensive line. Phenomenal pick. I thought he had a really good season. And on top of that, too, James Conner, he was a 1,000-yard rusher, and he missed 4 games on the season to IR. So, and I think, let me double check here. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up here on Pro Football. Oh, yeah, and he's 28, coming into his 29th year. I believe he is still on contract as well. We'll double check on the next slide once we get to free agency. But team overall, they were very effective running, and not in the way that you would think the Cardinals team would be, which is Kyler Murray and then some more Kyler Murray. So I think keeping James Conner, who still seems to be running the ball extremely well, he has had an amazing career from the Steelers and also now to the Cardinals. I think they have a good foundation with them two back there. Then even when Kyler Murray came back, he did provide a spark. He threw his 8 games. He threw for 1 yard shy of 1,800 yards. He had 10 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and he ran for 244 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns as a whole. And I think the thing to me is I think they just need to keep adding some more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. They're in a perfect spot to either get Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors picking 4th overall. Trey McBride, I think, is going to develop into one of the better tight ends in the league. He's kind of that modern mold of a tight end in my eyes. And so Marquise Brown, I'm pretty sure, is hitting free agency. And so we'll have to see if they want to re-sign him. Michael Wilson had a good rookie year, 565 yards and 38 catches. Rondale Moore also had a good year as well, 352 yards and 40 catches. And he didn't start every single game, which is huge. So kind of want to throw it over to you here. And the big talk coming into the season, knowing this quarterback class is Kyler Murray. Are they going to move on from Kyler Murray? And that got squashed real quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it in our game previews throughout the entire season. The Arizona Cardinals were one of our favorite teams to watch this year just because of how hard they tried every single game. They were not an easy out. And, I mean, just ask the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Steelers. Like, those were teams that were supposed to beat them handily, and the Cardinals came in and put a whooping on them. They beat all of them, I think, pretty convincingly.
Yeah, they should have beat the Seahawks in the last week, but missed a field goal to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. And like that to me, I think just kind of shows like the fight that was in this team. I can't ever remember them really getting blown out. I mean, even in the 49ers game, which I guess they did lose by 2 scores, but like that was a 4-point or 6-point game in the fourth quarter in the first one. So
only game, and it's not even anybody, but Clayton Tune's one and only start. They could be very forgettable, but they got blown out by the Browns, and that's a tough. Imagine your first start. You're like a mid.
It's against Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it's against Myles Garrett and Dalvin Tomlinson. You got to throw to Denzel Ward, and also I think James Conner was hurt that game also. So he had nobody. So that sucks just in general, but. Throughout the season, like every single game, it was not a walkover type game as some of these other teams kind of throughout the season started to become. Like I'll say, no offense to the Commanders, but your secondary was so trash, your offensive line is so trash. Like it was kind of almost a walkover game because it was so easy scoring them. The Cardinals wasn't that way.
Yeah, like I think you can look at a lot of the other top 5, like 5-6 teams and. Look, even the Patriots at a certain point were pretty much just a walkover. The Panthers were that way. And even the Chargers, especially after Herbert went down, giving up 63 to the Raiders on Was that Thursday night? And
Yeah.
like just getting absolutely blown out of the water. And yeah, the Cardinals don't really have any of those losses because they showed up and they played hard every single week. And so I just props to them for doing that. Props to Jonathan Gannon for getting a team of this caliber ready to play every week. I mean, I feel like motivation would be hard, especially with the injury risk of football. So to jump on the defense real fast, their passing defense was 13th. I think part of that was just due to the fact that their running defense was pretty porous and they really struggled to kind of contain that. So teams were more just running the ball against them. With that also being said, they did play San Francisco twice, who's one of the better running teams in the league, and they did have some tougher matchups in the running game as well. Only 33 sacks. I do think, especially in the second round, being in the top of the second round, they could move up for a guy like JT Tuimoloau. Jack Sawyer will be there. And maybe just trying to get another edge rusher in the building that can make a big difference for them. They're kind of going to miss the like Jared versus Dallas Turners and Laiatu Latus of the world. Well, most likely, I guess they could trade up far enough, but yeah,
Give up a lot.
Yeah. So that is one thing. Maybe they'll try to address a free agency, maybe trying to get a Brian Burns from the Carolina Panthers, who are going to be looking to add draft capital there. And so, speaking of that, let's go ahead and kind of get into some of their offseason numbers. Notable free agents: Buda Baker, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Wilkinson, Antonio Hamilton, Zeke Turner, and Jonathan Ledbetter. One of the guy to me that sticks out, Marquise Brown, is a guy that I think they would really want to re-sign, especially if they're going to go the Marvin Harrison Jr. route in the draft. To me, I think those guys would complement each other so well. You have your true X, and then you kind of have your slot Z guy in Marquise Brown, kind of the speedster guy that can create space for your already top 10 NFL wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. There as well. Buda Baker, I would love to see him be re-signed, but he is, I think, getting up there in age. I want to say he's quickly approaching the age of 30. And then team needs offensive line, I think, could still be improved, specifically pass defense. And then to me, receivers, yes, but this defense, I think, needs a pretty big overhaul. They play hard, but that has proved to not necessarily be enough. And specifically pass rushers, I think they really need to try to address.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that, and I guess it's we didn't have those numbered, luckily, which is good. But yeah, I think defense, where they're at, they'll get a receiver with their first overall pick. But if they were with their second pick in the first round, that 21 overall pick, I think there's a lot of interesting guys. I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot they had Houston's pick at 21. So
Houston's
maybe actually they could get a Chop Robinson, a Laiatu Latu, or one of those guys if they fall.
This is what's fascinating to me about the Cardinals, and then look at the 2024 NFL draft. They have 6 top 100 picks. Houston's pick is Bolden in that third round pick. We just don't know where that's going to be yet, since they are still in the playoffs here. But depending on where they end up losing, or if they win the whole thing, it'll be that'll dictate. But it'll still be a top 100 pick. And so, to me, I'm looking at, at worst, Malik Neighbors with the first overall pick. And a guy who I'm just stuck on, and I don't even know if they would go this route here, but only just because of how much they need in the secondary as a whole. But a guy like Cooper DeJean, and his overall versatility, I think he's just a plug-and-play type guy where if you need to play nickel, need to play outside, or if you want to move him to safety. And I think that in a Jonathan Gannon offense and really kind of figure out where he best fits, I think that would be a unique spot here for 21. Because I don't know if every team's going to love Cooper DeJean, except for a team who just needs a lot of defensive help. And that fits the Cardinals bill completely. I think if they maybe wanted to double up on receiver, I think there's going to be a lot of good guys in that 35th pick overall. But I also feel they're going to go defense again. And I would be looking if they want to address secondary also. Or if they didn't address secondary at the 21st pick, the 35th pick, you could have like Quinton Mitchell, Denzel Burke, Kalen King's there. But maybe even a couple other guys fall, like Kamari Lassiter or Terrion Arnold. Or if they want to go edge rusher, as you mentioned, I think you mentioned JT from Ohio State. I'll just say that. And so
JTT.
JTT. And then Chris Bradswell. There's a lot of guys I think that are going to be in that spot here. And even then, too,
Yeah. Braylon
linebacker.
Trice also would be a good one.
Yeah, I think he's going to fall a little bit after the national championship game. So he potentially could be there. And also, too, on top of that, they wanted to kind of revamp their linebacking room as well with that 66 pick overall. They got 66, 71, potentially even a late 70s, depending on where Houston is at. But they're going to have Jeremiah Trotter is a guy here. He's the top linebacker in the draft class. So it's just every single need. I think there's going to be a bunch of defensive picks here. And there's even a couple picks, if you're wondering, that ... There's a couple other seventh rounders that we just couldn't fit in to the graph here. But they've already had a lot of picks. They've already taken up a lot of space. So
yeah,
offseason is going to be a lot of fun for the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of different ways that they can go here. They're kind of in a great spot just with the generational talent at the top end of the draft that they'll probably just take whoever is there. I don't see them making any moves. I mean, maybe they fell in love with Marvin Harrison Jr. and they re-signed Hollywood Brown. Maybe they trade up with the Bears and go to Marvin Harrison Jr. But that being said, though, I think the Bears probably wouldn't want to trade with the Cardinals because they would want Marvin Harrison Jr. if they're going to trade back. So,
yeah.
So that's where I think it's going to be tricky on how they're going to try and get Marvin Harrison. But who knows? Crazy things could happen. If they have to settle for Malik Neighbors, I think they will be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Neighbors in any other class would probably be the number one wide receiver easily, especially in last year's class. So it's going to be interesting. I will say, this is our fourth video that we've done for season recaps, and this has been by far the most positive. Just because I think you like the outlook going forward. Jonathan Gannon looks to have this team going in the right path. Kyler Murray, you have your franchise quarterback there in Kyler Murray. You have a weapon already. You have a left tackle. You just kind of need to solidify both of those rooms by adding some solid depth and other contributors in that room, which you don't need a first or second round pick for. But they have the luxury of having 2 first round picks in this class. And then you need to rebuild this defense, but you have a great defensive-minded head coach. He has this pass defense kind of already where it needs to be. You just need to solidify this run defense and be able to get after the passer a little bit better. Now, that's a lot easier said than done, but like you have half of the pieces, I think, already there. You just have to go and get the others, and you have a good amount of cap space, and you have a very good amount of draft capital in this upcoming draft, which is a solid class. So outlook is looking good for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I, we have a goal of getting to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the NFL playoffs. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. Leave a comment down below on what you think of the Arizona Cardinals 2023 season. Know that we will see you guys